Conservatives, or who should really just be called normal humans, who maintain the basic values, traditions, and social norms that individuals, families, and communities have lived by since ancient times, are obviously under attack by a barrage of deeply disturbing ideologies and well-funded institutions that can only be described as insane or evil. Instead of being relegated to a fringe group in a dark corner of the internet, or the subjects of a documentary looking into the lives of a couple of weirdos for viewers' entertainment, these lunatics and their agendas are being promoted in public schools and universities across the country by Hollywood celebrities and award-winning shows and films, and boosted by the algorithms on the big tech social media platforms. Even major food brands and retailers are awash in this new breed of cultural Marxist propaganda. The onslaught of wokeness even gained support in the legal system, with draconian laws being snuck through Democrat-controlled state legislatures, which undermined the very foundation of what America once stood for. We now have Marxists in the U.S. Congress calling for the removal of American symbols, the erasure of our history, and the systemic demonization of white people. The communication tools our society came to rely on started being used to censor those who push back against the agenda too loud, and countless activist media outlets exist for the sole purpose of being attack dogs for the regime and smear its enemies as racists, transphobes, anti-Semites, and an array of other defamatory labels they hope will stick. Children, being impressionable and vulnerable, are one of the enemy's prime targets, and in recent years it's become common in public schools across the country for teachers to have their students engage in LGBT pride parades, and the mainstream media now promotes boys dressing in drag and children being put on puberty blockers and having irreversible Frankensteinish surgeries done on them if they feel uncomfortable in their body or confused about their gender. People who in past generations you would only see featured on the Jerry Springer Show are now credentialed teachers and proudly post videos on TikTok bragging about what they're doing with their students. The U.S. military under the Biden administration started openly recruiting and celebrating gays, lesbians, and transgenders. Kids' cartoons are promoting drag queens to young impressionable audiences on Disney Plus and Nickelodeon. What had always been seen as an adult form of entertainment at gay nightclubs in seedy parts of the inner city is now being performed for small children at schools and libraries across the country. Many of our cherished holidays are even under attack from those within our own country. Such disgruntled citizens and illegal aliens were once relegated to shouting on the street corner, but now their anti-American ideas have taken root, and mainstream Marxist Democrats are openly calling for the removal of statues of the Founding Fathers, abolishing the national anthem, and even replacing the American flag. They hate the foundation of our country, including the Bill of Rights and the freedoms Americans have enjoyed since 1776. And there's not just an ongoing assault on our nation's symbols and founders, but on capitalism itself, with many Democrats continuously nudging us towards socialism and then ultimately communism. The COVID lockdowns of 2020 and 2021 warmed millions of Americans up to the idea of getting free handouts from the government while they sit at home instead of going to work. And calls for issuing a universal basic income, or a UBI, free money for those unwilling to work, are increasing. In their efforts to overthrow the United States and collapse our republic, our country has been flooded with a steady stream of tens of millions of illegal aliens from third world countries for decades, with numbers exceeding 2 million a year every year during the Biden administration. These people aren't just future Democrat voters, but further erode patriotism in America because most of them aren't interested in becoming Americans and don't care about our history, values, or customs. They just simply want to take advantage of what we have built here. They'll never assimilate and instead just further weaken the bonds that hold our cultural fabric together. To entice the caravans of migrants to continue coming, Democrats offered them free housing, free healthcare, free education, and an endless list of welfare benefits which further stress our sputtering financial system. We're already so far in debt as a nation that it's probably impossible to repay, and things are getting to the point where even paying the interest on the national debt may be impossible. The only way out of such a financial hole is to print more money, a lot more, which means hyperinflation, drastically eroding the value of the dollar and skyrocketing prices, which will lead to what some call the Great Reset. The plan is already already underway. A primary tactic to sow discontent and foment social unrest is the promotion of anti-whiteism, anti-white racism, under the banner of critical race theory, which is a scholarly sounding veneer used to cause racial strife by opening old wounds that healed long ago and blaming white people for all the current problems and shortcomings black people have today. Critical race theory disguises anti-whiteism as supposed history and promotes the conspiracy theory that white supremacy is woven into the fabric of America and at the heart of our institutions. Well, we've had racial injustices in the past, as with every multicultural country or region throughout history, and struggled to overcome the conflicts between different ethnic groups living among each other. By the 21st century, race relations were quite harmonic in the United States, only to begin deteriorating under President Obama, who constantly stoked the embers of what was a nearly extinguished fire, reigniting racial and class conflicts by using Black Lives Matter to fan the flames. They're woke, they say, which just means they blame others for their own personal failures under the guise of oppression, which is either imaginary or self-imposed, so they can portray themselves as victims who insist that they deserve special treatment. Wokeness is just another synonym for Marxism and is used to gather more supporters for the cause. And of the conservatives being targeted for this current culture war, Christians are enemy number one because of their adherence to traditional, normal family values and customs. The left's hatred for Christians has no bounds, with Christian holidays, symbols, and businesses now under constant attack. The forces manipulating our society are more than just social media algorithms amplifying absurdities, perverts, and anti-whiteism, although big tech platforms are a large part of the problem. There's also Operation Mockingbird, secretly pulling the strings behind the scenes of the news networks, Wikipedia masquerading as an encyclopedia, Google curating search results and burying websites and articles containing information they don't want the general public to know. And now, various artificial intelligence chatbots or assistants which present just as biased information because their programmers have placed strict parameters on the kinds of answers they can give and the content they can generate. Of course, the high priests of Hollywood are in lockstep, building up false idols whose behaviors and ideologies are modeled by millions of mentally enslaved morons. What most people mindlessly consume as entertainment is carefully crafted political propaganda designed to incrementally desensitize the population into various ideas and activities, slowly shifting sensibilities and encouraging dysfunctional behaviors that were completely unimaginable in previous generations. But despite the information war that's being waged against the American people, thankfully, it's not working on probably half of the country. The left's tactics and deception are obvious to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, and reveal how unethical and desperate they are to prevent people from having accurate information. The epic memes we're seeing, the crowds at Trump's rallies, our total victory on election night, and the political pundits on TV distraught about it and their inability to cover up what a disaster the Biden administration has been, should give us some hope. Mainstream media brand name conservatives are finally talking about things they carefully avoided for years because they were cowards and caved into political correctness. But now that they've seen what their cowardice has allowed the left to do to our country and our culture, some of them are finally starting to grow a spine. But we're not in Kansas anymore. This is not politics as usual. While political rhetoric is usually hyperbolic and exaggerated, the danger that our country is facing politically, financially, intellectually, and morally has never been greater. The 2024 election granted us a tremendous victory, shamed the Democrats into finally doing some introspection on their woke agenda after realizing it turns off so many people. But I doubt they're going to give up. I doubt the Democrats or liberals in general can ever return to normal. But if there's any chance of restoring our republic, we're going to have to keep working hard and remain vigilant because we're running out of time to make America great again. The news cycle is going to slow down over the holidays, but come January, as Trump's next inauguration approaches, the Democrats' Trump derangement syndrome is going to make a tremendous comeback. If you like watching my serious monologues like this, then you'll love reading my books. So order The War on Conservatives, which is my latest one, in paperback, now also hardcover, from Amazon.com, or download the ebooks from any of the ebook stores, Kindle, iBooks, Nook, or Google Play. Those who have read them can attest they're a lot more in-depth and hardcore than my videos. Just go and read the reviews on Amazon. If you want my complete, uncensored analysis of what it is that we're facing, along with nearly 1,000 footnotes sourcing all the material, which makes not just an informative read for those who keep up with the news, but also a valuable resource to give others to help wake them up as well, head on over to Amazon.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.